the live broadcast of the Harness the Power of Planning podcast. So this will go up wherever you listen to your podcast as the Harness the Power of Planning podcast. My name is Allegra, and if you're joining me for the first time, welcome. If you're watching live, you can comment. I will see those comments and I will try to respond to them as possible. And if you're listening to the recording, you can also leave a comment. I love to read everything that you have to say. And welcome and thank you wherever you are listening. The podcast is now heard in over 60 countries last time I checked. I might be up to 70 by now. I haven't checked in a little while, but thank you for joining me from wherever you are listening. I'm so happy to have you here. If it's the first time, then a little bit about me. I am a brain science-based productivity and time management expert, and I've written these 4 short read books. They're all designed to be read in less than an hour and give you actionable tips that will help you save time and energy. Who doesn't need more time and energy? We all do. These books are basically the equivalent of creating time in your life. It's like one of those time turner things if you are a Harry Potter nerd. So welcome. Today's topic is about getting organized for 2026. I like to spend the week of Thanksgiving planning for the next year. I do this every year. And I'm going to explain why in a little bit. But first, I always start my podcast by pulling a card from this little box and talking about it. Oh, and before I mention, I also like to mention that next week, my friend Jeff Harry, another professional public speaker, an expert in play, his tagline is how to make the workplace suck less. He is a fantastic guy. I'm excited to have him on the podcast next week. So join me for that. And now I'm going to pull a card from this deck. Let's see what it says. Life gives us choices. You either grab on with both hands and just go for it, or you sit on the sidelines. Christine Feehan. Life gives us choices. You either grab on with both hands and just go for it, or you sit on the sidelines. Christine Feehan. You know, I feel like this card hits a little differently thinking about it as a parent, because I remember I heard someone say that the challenge with being given great opportunities when you're young is that young people don't realize how rare great opportunities are. They think, oh, well, that'll come around again. I mean, look, I'm only 18 and it's already come around once. I'll wait for it to come around the next time. And then it doesn't come around the next time. And who knows? Maybe it's not just because the opportunities are rare, but maybe it's because you said no the first time. And so, you know, that's what you told the universe. And so the universe is listening. So one thing that I've really tried to do as a parent is when a great opportunity has come up for my child, I've said, look, I need you to trust that I know that this is an amazing opportunity. It's no skin off your back. You're not doing anything that makes you uncomfortable or that you don't like or anything. You're just kind of like, well, I don't know. Let's do it. And it's always been fantastic. We've had so many amazing adventures because we have, grabbed life by the horns and gone for it. And I have to say, of all the things that I've done in life, I can only think of one regret. Well, 2. Okay, 2 regrets. And both of those regrets are for things I didn't do, not things I did do. And that's what I think you find is as you age, you regret more the things you didn't do than the things you did do. So the 2 things I regret are, 1, I spent a summer on an archaeological dig in Israel, and I was invited by a family friend, someone who had grown up with, worked in the palace in Jordan. She worked for Queen Noor, and she invited me to come stay in the palace. And I was in love with someone I met on the archaeological dig, and I didn't want to spend a minute away from this person. So I said no to touring the palace. Oh, it's like just still regret that. Hey, Tammy, still regret that. If you're watching, such a dumb choice. The second thing I regret, and this is not really on me because I did try to take life by the horns, but I was in New Zealand and I signed up to skydive, and I didn't get to do it because there was low cloud cover that day. And now that I'm a parent, I don't really feel like it's responsible to skydive because I want to be here for my kiddo. So I've done indoor skydiving, which is super fun, but I regret that I wasn't able to do that. But I tried. It's not like I didn't try. So there you go. Thank you so much, Christine Feeham, for the words of wisdom. Life gives us choices. You either grab on with both hands and go for it or sit on the sidelines. Don't sit on the sidelines because the sidelines are the things that you regret. Okay, so let's talk about why I plan for the new year now. The reason why is that science shows that when it comes to big picture things, you can't just make a decision right now. Like, have you ever had someone ask you a really deep question and you don't have an answer then, but then 2 days later, you think of the perfect answer? Yeah, that's because you needed to think about it. Like these deep, profound questions, like, what do I want my legacy to be? How do I want to spend my year? What's my theme for 2026? Those sort of questions take time to percolate. So the reason why I like to start my planning Thanksgiving week is because it allows me to ask myself the questions like, okay, well, how much time do I want to spend with my family on vacation? Like, how many times do we want to go camping? Do we want to travel somewhere? Where do we want to travel? When do we think we want that to happen? And because those are my top priorities, I put those in my calendar first. And then I think, okay, well, how often do I want to travel to speak? Because I've been doing all of my public speaking within California, but now that my kiddo's getting older, well, actually, I've been doing all my public speaking really within the Los Angeles area. Except now that my kiddo is getting older, I'm traveling further. I made 2 trips within California this year, and next year I'm going to start speaking out of state. And so I need to set a limit on how many times I want to be traveling because my kiddo's only going to be home for a couple more years. And so I still want to maximize that time. So then I put that in. Then I figure out, okay, well, when am I going to plan a trip? Because once a year I try and get together with my closest girlfriends for a trip. So, figuring out those dates. So it takes time to puzzle together what I want my year to look like, which is why I start Thanksgiving week. The other thing I have found is that I'm the sort of person who gets a little sad as the holidays are coming to a close. And the great thing about starting to plan my year in 2026 is that I can set something up in January so that I'm excited to get into the new year. Like, one, just doing the planning itself helps me get excited about the new year because then I'm thinking about all the things that I have going on. And 2, planning something actually in January. I actually have something now that I do regularly. It's become a custom to do in January. And knowing that I have that event to go to, it's a Jane Austen event, and I love Jane Austen. Knowing that I have that event to go to in January just like perks me up. Like, yes, I'm sad the holidays are over, but hey, I get to go to this event. So that's going to be super fun. So I invite you, if you want to get more formal about how you plan for your next year, I invite you to join me with Get Organized 2026. And you can find out more about that at tinyurl.com/getorganized2026. I'm going to have a couple of short videos. It's all going to be on demand recorded. I'm going to have 2 45-minute videos. So each of them will be 45 minutes and they will be recorded for you to watch. And then I'm going to have some short, like 10-minute videos, just kind of, here's something you might want to think about. Maybe you didn't think about that if you want more support. But those are kind of optional. Those are just if you want more. The videos that are forming the foundation of Get Organized 2026, there's just going to be 2 of them, and they're going to be roughly 45 minutes. And it's just $50 to sign up for that. If you want live contact with me, I'm going to have some live Q&A sessions available, 4 of them. They're going to be a week apart, a little bit more than a week apart, because I'm going to have 2 in December and 2 in January. So 2 mid-December, 2 mid-January. And that's just an opportunity for you to ask me questions. Those won't be recorded because, 1, I want to respect your privacy in asking your questions. And 2, it's just, some people might only be able to make one and not the other. So they're not really cumulative. It's more like, what's the question that you have, whatever, no matter where you are in your process of thinking about your year. And that is $100. However, if you use the promo code podcast, you will get 25% off for that. So it'll be $75. And that is 4-hour-long Q&A sessions. Again, stick around as long as you want, or get your question answered and then, pop off. So you can find out more about that at tinyurl.com/getorganized2026. But I do have a couple things that, that I want to recommend to you, no matter if you do get organized with me or if you don't. The first is get yourself a planner, because it is December 4th, right? December 4th, yes. Because it is December 4th, I currently am working from 2 planners. My 2025 one, as you can see, it's gotten quite thick, and my 2026 one, which is brand new, because I'm already putting things into my 2026 one. So grab yourself a planner, and I actually have a podcast called How to Pick a Perfect Planner. If you're not sure what planner to get, I highly recommend checking out that podcast. Just go to wherever you listen to podcasts and type in Harness the Power of Planning, How to Pick the Perfect Planner, and you can find it there. It might be easier to find on my YouTube page too, if you want to find it there. However, if you just want to know, hey, what's that planner that you're holding up? I love this planner. I've used it for almost 10 years. You can find that at tinyurl.com/myamazonpicks. And you'll see there is a little shopping list for my favorite planning tools. And this one is on there. I talk at great length about why I like this planner in the How to Pick the Perfect Planner video. So definitely get a planner. Planning is a skill that happens up here in your brain, but then you need to record it so that it'll actually happen. You can't just hold it up in your head all the time. For one thing, the science shows that actually clogs up memory. If you think about it, if you think about your brain like a computer, when you have all those windows open and your computer slows down, it's the same thing. If you're holding everything up in your head, like, oh, I need to remember to do that, and then that, and then that, you're slowing down your ability to think. And so by writing down these plans that you're going to make, it allows you to free up your brain to do more creative thinking, higher level thinking. And what I love about this planner, one of the things I love about it is that it has a lot of blank pages. So as you're thinking about your year, you can just get really creative, and you can mind map, or you can just list all the things you want to do, or you can, create like buckets. Like, one thing that can be really helpful in thinking about your goals is dividing it up into personal, professional, spiritual, financial, whatever buckets you want to divide it up into, and then putting the goals under there and seeing like, oh, wow, most of my goals are professional. I guess this is the year of me getting a promotion, whatever. Look, I'm not going to tell you need to quote unquote balance your life. You need 2 goals here and 2 goals there. No, we're all in different seasons. I am in the season where I am prioritizing my family. However, professional has been getting more and more important every year as my kiddo has become more self-reliant and has her own life. So I've been able to allow time to take on more professional responsibilities, and that's been great. So things are shifting. And then in 2 years, when when my kiddo's out of the home, oh my God. Yes, I'm tearing up just thinking about it. Okay. Ugh. Uh, I'm going to have even more time to do professional things and also, to spend time with my husband. So things are always changing. I'm not going to tell you which buckets you should have your goals in, but that could be a helpful way to think about it, to think about like, oh, okay, I'm really prioritizing on this topic around this theme. So that's going to be, my theme for this year. Another thing that's really helpful in thinking about your goals, because again, as I said, these kind of abstract questions, it can take time for your brain to percolate. One thing that can be helpful is writing a letter to yourself from your future self. So, say, writing something as the 75-year-old you or the 85-year-old you, and imagining you're so proud of yourself for having accomplished these things. And life is so great because I am able to spend time with friends and my health is in a great place. And, write all the things that you want for yourself. You might not know you want them until you start writing. This is why having a journaling practice is so important. In fact, I have two journaling practices. One is I answer these questions. I answer one question a day in this book here called 500 Writing Prompts. It's so fascinating because it makes me think about things that I would never think about. For instance, have you ever trained for a marathon? Describe it. If you haven't, would you? Which marathon event interests you? I've never thought about a marathon. And it's just interesting my thoughts on why that's not important to me. Sometimes life is as much about figuring out what you don't want to do. Like, I am not a runner, and I am very okay with that. But I never would have thought about that if someone hadn't asked me the question. So that's why I love this book. My other journaling practice, it's on the dining table. I don't leave it here because every night at dinner, all three of us have it. Me, my husband, and my daughter, we all have one. It's called a 1 line a day journal, and it gives you space to write one line for 5 years. So January 1st, 5 years. January 2nd, 5 years. Just one line. And when my kiddo was first born, I kept a 1 line a day journal kind of just to keep track of, how she's doing, what she's eating, what are her milestones. But the interesting thing about keeping it was that I noticed that there were trends that she kept getting sick at the same time each year. And you only notice that because, oh, here I am on January 10th again. And once again, she is dealing with a cold. So you start to notice trends like that. And I read a book recently by a man named Ron Friedman, and he actually recommends the 5-year journal specifically for the opportunity to see these kinds of trends. And I remembered that I had kept it for my kiddo, basically like her first, I don't know, a little bit less than 10 years. I think I did 8 years of 1 line a day. I remembered how powerful and what a useful tool it had been. And so I got the three of us these journals, and you're supposed to do it at night. So they sit on the dining table so that we can be reminded to fill out our 1 line a day, after we eat dinner together. So, having these journaling practices is really helpful because it gives you time to contemplate. And in this fast-paced world, we spend so much time doing, we don't often have contemplation time. A lot of famous thinkers are known to have built contemplation time into their day, either by going for walks. I remember reading about one person who had like 45 minutes or an hour scheduled where he would just look out the window of his office. He would sit in his chair and just look out the window. And that was just his thinking time. I like to do my thinking time via writing. And so that's really helpful. And that's where writing yourself a letter, creating a mind map, creating buckets of ideas that you want to do. It doesn't matter which of these techniques you use, really. It just matters that you start thinking about, what do you want 2026 to be? And I recommend writing without judgment. Just vomit onto the page. Like right now, as I say to you, what do you want to do in 2026? Get a piece of paper, just start writing. It doesn't have to make sense. Don't think about the how. Now is not the how time. Now is the what do I want to do? And how much do I want to do that? Like, is that really? Like, you might write things down that surprise you. When I wrote down that I wanted to produce a stand-up comedy show, I was surprised by that. I enjoyed doing stand-up comedy, but I didn't know that I wanted to take it that seriously. And it's interesting because I'm still not exactly sure how seriously I'm taking it, but I'm producing a show that is sold out every single time it's sold out. So I'm making money at it. So it's a business, and I still haven't really decided exactly what I want to do with it, except that what I love is getting to hear the stories of people like me that I totally relate to. There's just something about not feeling so alone as a, multi-ethnic person, multi-ethnic mainstream American. It's so lovely to hear other people's stories of people who are like me. I just enjoy that. And so I want to create a space for that because without my show, so my show is called Soy Saucy, SOYSAUCEY, Soy Saucy. If you speak any Spanish, you might know that soy means I am. So it's like a double entendre. So my show is called Soy Saucy. And if it weren't for Soy Saucy, I would have to go find these comedians like individually, like one over here, one over there, one over here. I love bringing them together. There's an amazing synergy. I just love watching the show myself. Like I'm creating the show that I want to see. That's what I'm doing. So when I wrote down the goal of I want to produce a stand-up comedy show, that was a surprise to me. And I wouldn't have written it down if I didn't go through these exercises of just generating ideas. Like, I want to do this, I want to do that. Oh, I do? Okay. That's interesting. So that's one of the great things about this planner specifically. And if you're listening to the podcast, tinyurl.com/my Amazon picks. tinyurl.com/my Amazon picks, all one word. You can find this planner under the planning tools shopping list. I love this planner because it has enough empty pages in the back. And actually, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but they actually are bullet pages. So they have all these little dots. So if you want to bujo, that's the nickname for bullet journal. So if you want a bullet journal on these pages, if you want to draw, if you want to create graphs or charts or what Gantt charts, whatever you want to do, there's space for that. And that's one of the things I love about this book, because this book is big enough that I can write my gratitude in it. I can make plans in it. I can take notes in it. And it's all enclosed in one book. And you can see that by the end of the year, my book gets quite thick because I sort of treat it a little bit like a scrapbook. So you'll see, here's an event I spoke at. There's my little speaker sticker, right? I was a speaker at it. I put those in here. Here's someplace I went out to dinner. They had this cute postcard. I put that in there. I also put, this paper here is a record of a archery competition that my daughter competed in. So, it becomes a little bit like a scrapbook by the end of the year. And I love that. Oh, yeah, I sang at Carnegie Hall this year. Like, how crazy is that? There's my Carnegie Hall program. So, and my kiddos' report cards are also in here. So I love having something that's big enough where it just becomes, a memory of my entire year. And that's what's so great about this planner. And because it's, kind of largish, for those of you listening to the podcast, it's basically the size of a full sheet of paper. So 8.5 by 11. I can't misplace it. I've tried smaller planners, like the size of my books. You can see they're about half the size, maybe 2/3. The size that kind of fits in a purse nicely. These are too small for me. I lose them. So get yourself a planner. Ask yourself the questions, what do I want to do in 2026? Or write this letter to yourself, from your older self to your younger self, and start thinking about what you want your new year to be. And if you want to get a little more tactical with me, I would love to have you join me. Go to tinyurl.com/getorganized2026. As I said, it's $50 for the recorded videos, and then it's another $50 if you want to do the live Q&A sessions with me. However, with the promo code podcast, you can get a 25% discount on the package that includes the live Q&As. So those are a VIP package. And this will all be taking place on Zoom or YouTube. You'll get an email about it. I'm trying out YouTube for this format because YouTube has rolled out some new features that I think are really interesting. And that way you don't have to, be on any sort of social media platform or anything like that. It's all just self-contained in that place. So have a wonderful holiday season, no matter what you are celebrating. Happy all your days. And, just do a little bit of thinking now about the new year. And you will be able to roll into the new year with excitement and momentum. And I hope you can join me next week with my friend Jeff Harry. He's an expert on making your workplace more fun, on play. Join me for that conversation. I know it's going to be a blast. I always have fun when I talk to Jeff. And remember to subscribe wherever you listen. It helps me with the algorithm, helps me know what content you are responding to, and it costs you nothing. So thank you so much. And remember, planning makes everything easier.